there's a new actress that's becoming very popular named Tilly Norwood. And the thing is, she's all AI generated. Now, it's amazing because we're getting reports that apparently this AI avatar is getting scouted to get signed by top talent agencies. Cue the incredible backlash from Hollywood. Now, this was just announced last weekend at the Zurich Film Festival, and the creator, Eline van der Velden, says Tilly is to be, quote, the next Scarlett Johansson or Natalie Portman. Now, I have questions, and really, let's put this in 3 categories. 1, is there an avalanche of lawsuits that are now going to come at this creator and, of course, the AI production company, Particle 6, as well as the spin-off AI studio that created Tilly? We'll come back to this. 2, are AI actors going to replace real human actors? And 3, how is the industry in general responding to Tilly? Now, I'll actually start with the industry piece. So this was the statement put out by SAG-AFTRA following the announcement of Tilly, which basically says, oh, hell no. Quote, to be clear, Tilly Norwood is not an actor. It's a character generated by a computer program that was trained on the work of countless professional performers without permission or compensation. We're going to come back to that as well. It has no life experience to draw from, no emotion. And from what we've seen, audiences aren't interested in watching computer-generated content untethered from the human experience. It doesn't solve any problem. It creates the problem of using stolen performances to put actors out of work, jeopardizing performer livelihoods, and devaluing human creativity. Now, as many of you know, my law office is involved in a number of AI lawsuits because a big part of this is not just the impact on the industry and the creators, right, of which are concerned they're going to get replaced, but it's specifically what was the AI trained on, because this incredible ability to show emotion, be expressive, and as the AI studio says, you know, with Tilly, comes fully loaded with complete backstories, distinct voices, evolving narrative arcs, can engage in unscripted conversations, do monologues, and respond in real time to adapt to different audiences. And in fact, we saw some of this on Tilly's Instagram, right? So we saw things like she's doing screen tests, action sequences, she's doing parodies. So rewind. The creator, Eline. Eline is actually not only a Dutch actress, a producer. As she puts it, she's trying to do something innovative. This is not about replacing human actors. It's about doing something that is tantamount to like animation or CGI. Now, she put out an official statement. We're going to get to that. But on whether studios are going to go for this. Here are the pros, right? You get to hire Tilly, who's going to work 24/7 and not complain. And quite frankly, this seems to be the thing that no one's really saying, that studios, record labels, as it relates to musicians and music creators, right? The corporations that are running the entertainment industry kind of just don't want to deal with you. So instead of having to deal with you, they're just going to deal with these tech companies and get AI avatars that can work 24/7. Now, if you guys remember with SAG-AFTRA, this was in 2023, if I remember correctly, and there was a lot of outrage and asking for better protections for performers' likeness, right? Their voices, their faces, so that there can't just go and be AI replications of actors without their permissions. Now, just as a general rule, regardless of where you are in the entertainment industry, there has to be language in all of your contracts specifying how AI can be used. Is it okay for them to not only create AI versions of you, because you know what, they don't really want to do the reshoot. It's so much easier if your arm just kind of went weird and you hit the mic for them just to do an AI version than to fly you back out and just to get those 5 seconds. And there's a lot of implications for your guys' wills, your estates, right? What happens when you become the star of the TV show, of the movie? And more importantly, what do you want to have happen upon your demise? What do you want to have happen with your publicity? Do you want studios being able to make new movies using your likeness? Now, I do think there's a ton of curiosity on this, which ultimately is going to just make it more likely that Tilly does go and get a big deal, because now there's just, we want to see what happens. And when she actually is appearing in some movie or TV show, we're all going to go watch it so we can see what's going on. But it doesn't mean that this kind of thing is going to stick. And we saw this happen with the AI music artist, Xania Monet, right? So she's the avatar and the AI music, and you know, she just got a quick $3 million deal, which we speculated was because it seemed like the music was resonating, it was connecting. So in other words, it's able to be monetized. If something can be monetized, guess who pops in? Any corporation that's looking to exploit something that makes people feel something. Now, let me put it out there just for the sake of argument. Well, what about times we've had, you know, cartoons put into movies? Roger Rabbit. it? Is this really any different? Does it matter that in this case, Tilly is being represented as human? And is that what is rubbing people the wrong way? What if it was clearly a monster? What if it was clearly something else? And then how is it going to work? Well, I can answer that. And how this all works is that ultimately the prompter, right? The person, in this case, Eline, and her AI company, who is responsible, who has the exclusive rights to this AI personality, they're the ones who are going to do the contract. They're the ones that are going to negotiate for the rights and the royalties. But guys, there's this huge thing that a lot of people are not talking about, which is the wrinkle with copyright. So meaning if something is fully AI generated, you cannot get copyright registration. And that is one of the most valuable aspects of intellectual property, which is a key difference here from, let's say, the CGI character, which is not the result of prompts. It is not the result of a machine making it. It's the result of a human using a tool. But that's also why people get confused. And then people are like, well, what about credit? How do we credit the AI character? Well, it's like anything else that we negotiate. How do you want to be credited? Where should it appear? I mean, it just gets negotiated in the contract phase of this. But I do wonder about just disclosing to viewers, because here's what I know. I know that people don't like being lied to. And at least for now, people are not used to AI stuff. They're not used to AI music. They're not used to AI actors, especially if it's being presented that this is a real human. And this was part of the problem when we had all of these AI bands pop up onto Spotify and they were pretending to be real people. They're like, hey, come see our band, buy our merch. Well, actually, there are legal theories to protect consumers. Consumer confusion is a legal basis to sue someone, to sue a company. But as a real law firm, we've done this for over 11 years. And what I can say the last couple of years is this stuff has been kind of come up more and more, is that we are seeing that studios don't want to touch it because of the lawsuit piece. They don't want AI stuff because they go, I don't know what you trained on. And if Tilly was trained on apparently 10 different tools, there's a whole lot of reason to be concerned if you are the studio that's going to take on that liability to say, oh, we're going to put Tilly in our TV show. So in the, is Tilly just a gimmick, right? We're all just real curious, maybe to a degree, but I do believe that this is a test. And I do know that media giants, right, like Disney, Universal, they're all suing Midjourney. And they're saying, you took our characters and you're spitting them out. And when it comes to copyright infringement, these are not small lawsuits. These lawsuits are in the hundreds of millions of dollars. And with the Anthropic settlement, right, for book authors, the settlement was for $1.5 billion. So the argument is there's a ton of money to be made if you're an AI company and it just is advantageous for you to move quickly, scrape from wherever you can get stuff from to train your AI, pump out what we'll call a new product, which is going to be your AI product, start trying to monetize it, and hopefully you'll make more money than the lawsuits you're going to have to pay out for. But I understand that the incredible fear around this is that really this is going to replace jobs. And I do think that is a real risk here because it's really if it becomes normalized. For example, there are movies where the whole thing is based on us seeing the actor as young. So we see the kind of CGI and the special effects for the majority of the movie, but we as the audience know what's going on, okay? We understand that that is not the actor as of today. So in that instance, the trust isn't broken. And so that's what I'm saying from the standpoint of whether this is a smart business move. Now, I promised that we would look at what did Eline have to say. She put up a post on Instagram. To those who have expressed anger over the creation of my AI character, Tilly Norwood, she is not a replacement for a human being, but a creative work, a piece of art. Like many forms of art before her, she sparks conversation, and that in itself shows the power of creativity. I see AI not as a replacement for people, but as a new tool, a new paintbrush, just as animation, puppetry, or CGI opened fresh possibilities without taking away from live acting. AI offers another way to imagine and build stories. I'm an actor myself, and nothing, certainly not an AI character, can take away from the craft or joy of human performance. I think in the context of the discussion over AI, it's very important to distinguish and define what we're talking about. If it's AI in we can use AI to help as a search tool, to help you draft emails, to use it in your day-to-day life, that's one thing. Another thing might be generative AI, where there has been lawful licensing, lawful purchasing of the data set of which the AI trained on. And then lastly, there's AI, and specifically AI companies, that have unlawfully gone and scraped on the internet, on these different platforms. And it's my hope that within that framework, we can have a more meaningful conversation, that it's not necessarily you're anti-AI or you're pro-AI. There's a lot of room in between. Don't forget to subscribe. I'm Miss Krystle, and I'll see you on the next one.